Hi, everyone. Welcome to the Thursday edition of Source 16 News. Thanks for joining us. I'm Eddie Owen. Topping our news, one coal miner has been treated and released from the hospital, and a second miner is being held for observation after a blast at a coal mine in Hopkins County this morning. Alliance Coal Company General Manager Heath Lovell told Source 16 News that a drill rig was in the process of drilling a hole from the surface to intersect a worked out area within the Warrior Mine when a pocket of gas was encountered at a depth of about 420 feet, which was about 300 feet above the mine workings. According to Lovell, the gas was ignited and subsequently burned the drill rig, and 2 drillers received minor injuries. The explosion occurred around 5 o'clock this morning, and the Hopkins County Sheriff's Department, Fire Department personnel, and the Medical Center ambulance responded to the mine at the intersection of Wolf Hollow and Blockhouse Roads, about 5 miles north of Madisonville. The 2 miners were transported by ambulance to Regional Medical Center in Madisonville. Warrior Coal is a subsidiary of Alliance Coal, LLC. Difficult decisions and concrete solutions. That was the topic of U.S. Senator Rand Paul's speech at the weekly Kiwanis Club meeting today. Paul referred to Secretary of Defense Robert Gates' recent statement saying the #1 threat to national security is our national debt.
We have a national debt of $14 trillion. If we do nothing, if we keep on this glide path and do nothing, entitlements and interest will consume the entire debt within a few years.
Paul said the nation needs to be bold when addressing these big issues, adding that the nation is in the worst recession since the Great Depression. But to be able to overcome these issues, Paul says it's important to understand where the problem started.
It's important to delve into these details because it's which direction do you want to take? Did capitalism fail and we need more government? Or did government fail and we need less government? And it's really important which direction we take. I think we have too much government. But see, a lot of the people in power now went the opposite way.
And what he referred to as Obamacare was another topic that he touched on, saying the plan will actually increase health care costs instead of reducing them. He also suggested raising the age of the Social Security eligibility.
You know, in 1984, we did it under Reagan. We raised the Social Security age from 65 to 67, and it's just now coming to a conclusion. We raised it 1 month a year. So it takes 12 years for it to go up 1 year. Could we not simply be brave enough to say we can do that? You know, we're at 67 now. If you just next year said go up a month a year, and then you say, well, there's some people who depend completely on Social Security. Well, maybe we make some exemptions for those at the very bottom.
The quick step at the Kiwanis meeting in Hopkinsville was the senator's first speech to a civic club since he started his term almost 2 weeks ago. Jury selection and opening arguments were made in Christian County Circuit Court this morning in the murder trial of a Clarksville man accused of drunk driving and killing a Fort Campbell soldier. 21-year-old Antoine Rouse sat quietly as Assistant Commonwealth's Attorney Whitney Westerfield spoke to jurors about how Oak Grove officers investigated the February 16, 2010 fatal wreck.
They start to think and see factors that suggest maybe this is a DUI investigation. They perform field sobriety tests. You'll get to see those as well. There were 3. Mr. Rouse passed the first one, saying his alphabet from G to Q. It helps that it was said to him before he said it, but he passed that one. He failed one where he had to count in reverse. You'll see that. And you'll see the HGN, or the horizontal gaze nystagmus test. It's a mouthful. And you'll learn about what it's looking for and how it is he didn't succeed at that.
Meanwhile, Rouse's defense attorney, Brandy McEldowney, described the State Line and Pembroke Oak Grove Road fatal wreck as a tragic but unavoidable crash.
That when Mr. Rogers made that left-hand turn onto Pembroke Road, that collision was going to happen. That accident was going to happen. And no amount of trying to swerve or get out of it was going to happen. I submit to you, this is an accident, ladies and gentlemen. This is not murder. This is not wanton murder.
According to Oak Grove Police, 23-year-old Joshua Rogers was killed instantly. In addition to murder, Rouse is charged with DUI, leaving the scene of an accident, and driving without a valid driver's license. The trial is scheduled to continue through tomorrow. Well, 4 out of 5 Cerulean teens were formally sentenced today in connection with a series of Amish and Mennonite robberies last year. 19-year-old Lavelle Washington was sentenced to 20 years after pleading guilty to 9 counts of facilitation to robbery and burglary, wanton endangerment, tampering with physical evidence, and evading police. Washington reportedly acted as the driver in the burglaries. 17-year-old Sergio Del Angel was sentenced to 10 years after pleading guilty to 1 count of robbery and burglary in the second degree, wanton endangerment, tampering with evidence, and evading police. 16-year-old Raul Hernandez was sentenced to 25 years after pleading guilty to 9 counts of robbery, burglary, and wanton endangerment, and 1 count of tampering with evidence and evading police. 16-year-old Daniel Martinez was sentenced to 20 years for 8 counts of robbery, burglary, and 1 count of tampering with physical evidence. Judge John Atkins decided to defer 18-year-old Dacry Scott's sentencing after receiving a letter from Scott saying that he felt he was misled by his lawyer in his plea bargain. Judge Atkins decided to forward the sentencing decision to Judge Self, which will happen later this month. The judge also denied all requests for probation due to the nature of the crimes the group committed. The 5 were arrested last February in connection with 9 robberies of Amish and Mennonite homes in Christian and Todd counties. Police say the group stole cash and guns and fired shots into the rooms of some of the homes. A former student that allegedly sent a threatening letter to Austin Peay State University that forced a campus alert last night has been admitted for psychiatric evaluation at a local hospital. Campus spokeswoman Melanie Schemberger confirmed today that the campus alert was issued, adding that anytime there is a situation that could affect the individuals on campus, officials take all steps to ensure their safety. She says they've been fully cooperating with the Tennessee Bureau of Investigations. Ex-student Cliff Richard Guthrie, who was enrolled at the university for the fall 2010 semester, reportedly stated in a letter to the university, "I'm forced to engage in a civil civic action that will be readily perceived as a crime that is heinous, premeditated, racial, and anti-American." Guthrie told the Leaf Chronicle during a telephone interview that he planned to burn his car and garbage bins at Public Square in protest of being involved in a socio-economic and political experiment that's unfolding in Clarksville. TBI spokeswoman Kristen Helm told Source 16 News that agents interviewed the former student this morning, and he was voluntarily committed to Gateway Hospital in Clarksville for psychological evaluation. A warrant was recently issued for a Fort Campbell soldier who reportedly intimidated his wife and then allegedly threatened to harm their dogs. Clarksville police issued the warrant for 23-year-old Dirk Allen Thurlman of Needmore Road after he allegedly intimidated his wife with a 12-inch hunting knife during an argument about divorce. According to the arrest warrant, the 2nd Brigade Combat Team soldier also allegedly threatened to, quote, cut their dogs up. Thurlman, who is home on mid-tour leave, reportedly left the apartment and headed to Ohio, and a warrant was issued for his arrest. Well, a Montgomery County nonprofit organization is $1,000 richer thanks to Murray State University. Murray State officials awarded newly formed Montgomery County Friends of the Shelter with the generous donation this afternoon at the Montgomery County Animal Control and Adoption Services Office. The check is the 2nd place prize for MSU student Cassandra Dixon, who wrote an essay about her internship experience with the nonprofit organization for a student philanthropy course project. Dixon spoke to Source 16 about how happy she is to help out the small animal-friendly organization.
I'm a big animal lover, so just knowing that the money goes towards helping the animals in Montgomery County, it feels good that I did something to help out so substantially.
Will be used to help place animals into rescue homes and will also help fund future awareness programs. Well, to speed up the construction process on the US 41 alternate widening project, the Kentucky Transportation Cabinet is dividing it into 2 phases. Spokesman Keith Todd says Phase 1 will involve widening US 41A from US 41 Main Street in Madisonville to near Lake Pee Wee Road. He adds that Phase 2 will include US 41A from Lake Pee Wee Road to Industrial Road. According to Todd, the total project covers nearly 4 miles of US 41A. District 2 Chief Engineer Kevin McLaurin said the change will allow construction of Phase 1 to begin in early 2013 or early 2014, about 8 to 12 months sooner than expected. He estimates the letting of Phase 2 would likely come about 2 to 18 months after the letting of Phase 1. A disturbance call in Hopkinsville yesterday afternoon landed a 21-year-old man behind bars for failing to register as a sex offender. Hopkinsville police arrested Johnny Ross Gregg Jr. at a home on West 7th Street around 3 p.m. after officers determined he was a registered sex offender in North Carolina, but had failed to register within the allotted time when he moved to Kentucky. Gregg was charged with failure to comply with the sex offender registry and was booked into the Christian County Jail. In case you missed the 10 o'clock and this morning's news, a Hopkinsville teen accused of being involved in the shooting of 2 teenage boys last year outside an apartment complex had his trial set in Christian County Circuit Court yesterday afternoon. Judge Andrew Self set a Tuesday morning, May 10th trial for 18-year-old Shannon Fairley of Florence Street. The 18-year-old is charged with 2 counts of first-degree assault and wanton endangerment and several drug-related charges. As Source16 previously reported, Fairley was named as one of 2 suspects who pistol-whipped and shot at 2 teenage boys on June 9, 2010, outside a Woodland Heights apartment. After evading police for 2 weeks, Fairley was arrested and taken into custody on June 19th after Christian County Sheriff's deputies received a tip he was inside a car on 19th and Broad Streets. Well, here's a look at your numbers. Friday's Mega Millions jackpot is $30 million. Saturday, here's a nice weekend present for you. The Powerball jackpot, $82 million.